What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are looking at the Monday Night Football picks between the Las Vegas Raiders and the Kansas City Chiefs. It's going to be in Kansas City for this game. We have what should be a pretty high-scoring game. It's a high total. Let's go ahead and get started. As always, if you enjoy the videos, appreciate it. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already. It was a decent week 5. Could have been a little bit better, but FanDuel did great on the main slate. On the early slate, DraftKings did well on the afternoon only, made some mistakes with that on the main slate. The London game hit. The final game of the night did not hit. Just went with T. Higgins, and he played a little bit in the first, and then he just didn't return, and so couldn't really overcome that. But move ahead, and we look at tonight's slate. Haven't posted a recap yet on Twitter for the weekend. I'll do that in the morning. Well, technically it is morning, but I've been kind of working all over the place in terms of my hours. But let's go ahead and get started with this video. If you want to join us, you can visit the website. Link is down below in the description. Twitter's there. I mean, basketball is also starting in about a week, so get in for that if you want to. So we've seen some fireworks when whenever the Chiefs play the Raiders. Looking at the last, well, especially from Patrick Mahomes, the last time they played, pulling it up right now. The 2 times they played last year was 48-9. Chiefs win, and then the second game they won 40, or first game they won 41-14. The other game was 48-9. They've demolished the Raiders both times, even back in 2020. We saw the Chiefs put up a ton of points, so you really do like the over here. In 2020 games were a lot closer, 35-31 and 40-32. The Raiders split them. But Mahomes has been unreal once again this year, even losing one of his best weapons. Kelsey is still in the mix there, but losing Tyreek Hill in the offseason, he still hasn't really missed a beat. He's up to 11 touchdown passes. Last game, they kind of were all over Tampa, and it ended up just being a 10-point game at the end, but it was not as close as that score makes it seem like. Chiefs were in control from the beginning, and Mahomes didn't really have to throw much in the second half. Devonte Adams is your second most expensive player. He's had a couple of good games, 2 subpar games, or 1 really poor game with a 9 fantasy point, but otherwise he's still been demanding so many and commanding so many targets from Derek Carr. You gotta like him on a showdown slate, but I do think the Chiefs will once again put up a ton of points, so I do like Kelsey more than Adams by a little bit. He's 600 less. Derek Carr is firmly in the mix as well at 10-2, just because they're probably gonna have to throw a lot in this game, and he is gonna get Renfrow back, so that might help him a little bit, just to have another weapon out there. So Renfrow is only 58. He looks pretty appealing as a value. Josh Jacobs coming off of one of his career best games, dropping 38 fantasy points. He might be more popular today just based on the ownership, but the price tag isn't that cheap. I think he looks great on FanDuel, given his price tag on DraftKings 88. Might be a little bit tougher to get to him just because you have like Edwards-Helaire, $1,400 cheaper. You want to get to some cheaper receivers so you can pay up for these top studs. For that reason, it might be, and the matchup, Chiefs are good against a run, so you probably expect or need Josh Jacobs to do good and catch some passes out of the backfield. But Edwards-Helaire, 74. We saw last game they kind of went away from McKinnon, and they kind of gave a lot of the work to Pacheco, the rookie, and he played pretty well. So we could see that happen again today, so I don't have confidence in McKinnon at all, but Edwards-Helaire still got his touches, 20-plus touches last game. Waller's been tough this year. He hasn't really performed at all. The acquisition of Adams has definitely hurt his target share. So he could go off on a showdown, but he's just not on my list of guys that I want to feel comfortable with playing. I'd rather go down to like Renfrow, for example, who did kind of cost him the game against Arizona with his fumble in overtime. Then he missed the next couple games with a concussion. He's back for this one. So hopefully he plays better. You can't do much worse than costing your team a win, but he did play well in that game before that fumble, and at 58 in a game where they're going to have to throw the ball a lot. He looks awesome. Same thing for Valdez-Scantling, especially if Juju Smith-Schuster is not able to play. He's currently questionable with a hamstring issue that popped up during practice, I believe, on Saturday. So we'll see. If he's not able to suit up, then it's a big bump for Hardman, big bump for Valdez-Scantling. Those will be a lot better and easier guys to get to in your lineups, and it'll probably even be a nice boost to Sky Moore, who's down here at $2,400. Whenever the Chiefs are on a showdown, you probably expect maybe you could get lucky and get like Gray or Jody Fortson to get a touchdown last time they were on against the Bucks on primetime last week. Both of those guys got into the end zone. So they're both super cheap on a slate where you want to have a lot of superstars to pay up for. Probably get to at least one of those like sub $1,000 Chiefs tight ends. And tight ends have been reigning supreme on Showdown, so you might as well get to a couple. Looking at some builds here. I'll do one with Travis Kelce in the captain spot just to save a little bit of money instead of going with Patrick Mahomes, but still put in Patrick Mahomes here at $12K. In terms of the Raiders, I do like the price tag a lot on Renfrow, so I'll look to get to him at $58. If I can try to get to Derek Carr as well in this lineup at $10.2. We have $2,900 left. That's where I can put in Noah Gray or Jody Fortson. And now we have $5,200 left. Perfect amount of salary to get right to Valdez-Scantling. This looks like a pretty good lineup. You do have 4 Chiefs, which I probably will end up with just because I expect them to win, or definitely at least a 3-3. Don't see myself going with 4 Raiders in a lineup. The defenses aren't really in play for me. The kickers, not going to have Butker. You're going to have Wright, who did play well in his last game last week with all those extra points, and he made a couple of field goals. And you have Carlson at 38. Also in play, but you could also see them have to kick a lot more. Go for it on 4th down a lot more if they are, if it's kind of a up in the air, if they're close to like the 40-yard line or something like that. But he's basically automatic, so at 38, you could do worse than that. So that's a pretty good lineup I like with Travis Kelce at captain. We'll go one cheap one with, let's do Renfrow at captain. This one we'll probably be able to get to Mahomes. See if we can get to Devonte Adams as well. Travis Kelce. And then you have $35.50 left over. You're going to be looking at just plugging in maybe Noah Gray here. And you have $65. Just miss out on a couple of pieces. Maybe in this one we can look to go a little bit cheaper. Get to like Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And now we have $10.5 that we can put in Derek Carr. So once again, you have 4 Chiefs in this lineup. You got Kelce and Edwards-Helaire. Both guys can get into the end zone possibly multiple times. You have Gray here as a potential sleeper that could also get a couple of catches. Maybe they give him a shot at the end zone once again. It's another one that looks pretty decent in my opinion. Haven't got one with Devonte Adams yet, so we'll look to try to get to him in one lineup. This one we will do a Patrick Mahomes captain with Adams. We'll probably pass on Kelce in this one, just so we can get to like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, so we can get to possibly Valdez-Scantling. We'll come back to him, but I'm still going to be plugging in either Fortson or Noah Gray, just for the value, just for the savings that is pretty necessary on the Showdown. Renfrow at 58, and now we have 68. If Juju plays, you can look to play him. That's fine. Maybe we flip-flop the captain and put in Edwards-Helaire captain, Mahomes here. Now we have 91. This one you can get to Josh Jacobs if you wanted to do that and get to a lot of the playmakers. You don't get to Derek Carr. You get to Adams instead, which is fine. But if you wanted to get to Derek Carr, you can put him in. And then you'll have $1,500 left over where you could upgrade Renfrow to Waller if you wanted to do that. Just something else to look at. But in terms of the core plays for me, I think I'll still end up with one of the Chiefs at captain or going down to like a Renfrow. But I like Kelce at a captain spot. He's going to command a lot of targets. He's done very, very well against the Raiders over the years, and wouldn't expect anything different. To him, definitely want to go to Patrick Mahomes. I like Renfrow just based on the price tag at $5,800. And then probably like end up getting to like a Noah Gray just to save some money and then be able to pay up for like get Edwards-Helaire if I wanted to do that, or get to Valdez-Scantling and Derek Carr in here. But that's what I got for DraftKings. Go ahead and take a look at FanDuel. All right, on FanDuel, you have Mahomes at $17.5, so he's by far the most expensive guy on the slate. It's still a person I want to get to on a Showdown slate. We saw what he can do last week in it. Even before that, we already knew what he can do. So it'll be very tough for him to fade Mahomes on a Showdown, but we'll look to get to him at $17.5. We have some value that I like in below $9,000 with Renfrow at $85, Valdez-Scantling at $8K. Two guys that are boom or bust at times, but they can give you big plays, especially Valdez-Scantling, and then Renfrow is kind of a guy that can get peppered with targets. Yeah, the rookie Isaiah Pacheco at 7K here, potentially as a value. Sky Moore is down to 6K. That could be like a nice GPP option, especially if there is no Juju Smith-Schuster. I'm not looking at Matt Collins this week with Renfrow back. We have 13,000, so still plenty. You can get to Josh Jacobs is cheaper than Clyde Edwards-Helaire on FanDuel, so you could do something like this, which looks pretty good to me. Or if you wanted to go with a full-on Chiefs onslaught, you can upgrade Josh Jacobs to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, but I think Jacobs will still be pretty involved. We do not get to Derek Carr in this lineup, but yeah, it's tough when you have 17.5 for Mahomes. But that's still something that I like in this lineup, just looking at it. If we do end up getting that value pick down here in like Sky Moore, then that would free us a lot more to be able to get to even upgrade Valdez Scaling to Devonte Adams, something like that. So keep an eye on the Juju Smith-Schuster news. That's definitely going to be big. But I still definitely see myself getting to Mahomes, Renfrow, and Kelsey at 13.5. Like, he's pretty affordable compared to his... He's still affordable on DraftKings, but on FanDuel, he's only 1,000 more than Edwards-Helaire and only like 3,500 more than Juju Smith-Schuster, and nobody's really come close to matching Kelsey in terms of production. He's gotten you almost... Well, he's gotten averaging around like 8.5 targets per game, closer to 9. So I expect to see a lot of that, maybe even more against the Raiders and possibly get into the end zone. Like, I love his chances to get a score. So that's it. That's what I like for the Showdown slate. Post updates on Twitter if we get some more injury news. But thank you for watching. Best of luck, and I'll see you all next time.